So when I've been broke many times, and when I had no money, the banks close their doors to you. So I don't think it's black. I think if you're financially illiterate, the banks will close the doors to you. So every time they print money, the money gets trapped in what's called the monetary system. But only the rich get richer, and the poor and middle class get poorer because, temporarily there's inflation. And the inflation is in the asset markets. So Bitcoin went up, real estate goes up, stock market goes up. But I feel for the guys working in my yard because they violate Rich Dad's lesson number 1, don't work for money. You've got to work for assets. Guys like me get richer and richer. I just borrowed another 160 million bucks. The average guy can't even get a credit card. Well, they got student loan. That's all they can get. That's why they get poor, because of the school system. In my opinion, resources are the next biggest investment. And if you really want to learn a lot in a very little time, but really hang out with some better than average guys like me who sit there, who have been gone through the ringer. I still remember being one of those junior miners pitching my mine. And I was right. I was absolutely correct. We had the biggest mine in history in China. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't invest in the stock market. Okay. So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay 0 tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invested in real estate and have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks, because when you print, savers get creamed and people who work for money get creamed. When they print, debtors get rich. You see, debt and taxes make the rich richer, and debt and taxes make the poor middle class poorer. My success comes from spirituality, not finance. Unfortunately, the poor, as was in the Bible, I'm not real religious, the poor will always be amongst us because it starts up here. It's in their words, and the words become flesh. When they say, I can't afford it or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym, but no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym. A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. In every one of us is a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. And the middle class person wants security. They want that steady paycheck. And that is a rich person. And they're all inside of us, except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You're not taught to how to get rich. The paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life. The moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee. And that's the mindset. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anybody to take care of me. The rich are greedy. It's the poor that are greedy. If you think about it, because to be rich, you have to give something. I have to produce books and games, and I purchase real estate, I provide housing, provide jobs and all that. That's why I'm rich. But greedy people produce nothing. Well, I've been a gold bug since Vietnam. In 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and in 72, I was in Vietnam. And so I said, well, what is gold? So I flew behind enemy lines because the NVA had overrun the gold mine. Gold was flowing from $35 to $50 an ounce. So I thought, because you're now behind enemy lines, I can probably get it for 40. I took a gold mine in China public, but the reason I have no love for Chinese food anymore, as soon as it went public, the Chinese nationalized. So it was a good lesson. It's not been easy street for me. But when they took that gold mine away, I went, what are they going to do next? if they're going to print money and they're giving it to me now at under 2%, so I refinance those 5 houses. I think I'm going to pull out $1 million. And it doesn't affect the cash flow at all because the interest rates are so low, my personal cash flow. But I'm just going to buy more stuff. I am going to buy another apartment house in Austin. You know why? Because every time they print money, every time the Fed and the Treasury print money, they screw the working class. Lower interest rates causes inflation, which makes it impossible for young people and poor people and working class people to afford their first house. So naturally, they're going to move into my apartment house. And then those socialists who are in academia, like my poor dad, oh, you guys are capitalists. You take advantage of the poor people. That's not true. We provide housing, low income, affordable, clean housing. When I'm making a decision, people ask me, what should I do? I first check the big picture, I check macro, the debt to GDP ratios and all that. And then I make my decisions, and then I start looking for properties going to fit that. So what I see happening is that we have these college kids coming out who have student loan debt. They'll never afford a house. They're screwed. And so I hate to say this, I'm going to provide housing for them. Is that cruel, or should I just give it to them? Like the woke crowd wants me to give them, like Marxists want me to give them free housing. And like I said, if you want to see what free housing looks like, go look at a government housing project and you won't live there. I look at I look at Scottsdale, which is the rich guys' apartments, and I look at the government low-income housing projects. The Scottsdale projects for the affluent are so much better than the low-income projects, but the low-income projects cost more money because anytime the government touches it, it gets more inefficient. So when people say, capitalists are criminals and all that, it's because they're morons. They really don't know what's going on. I also own oil wells because when Biden took the Keystone XL pipeline off, my oil I was selling from the ground, which is a tax break also, went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel. Today it's like $120. Oil is the lifeblood of civilization. I worked for Standard Oil of California as a tanker officer when I graduated from school. I understand oil. I was on the Alaska pipeline and all this. I'm like, he's screwing us. So when he raises inflation, the poor and middle class will go broke. And that was just done as soon as he was being done before he took office. And so I'm looking at this guy's going to sell America down the drain. I'm not saying it's him, but somebody wants us to go broke. And I'm watching this going, oh my God. So I have oil wells. I get tax breaks for those because I don't invest in oil stocks. I work for Standard Oil, but I don't invest in Standard Oil. I invest in the oil in the ground. I'm a wildcatter. Everybody says don't do it. I don't recommend it, but I like doing it.